Nether Wart. This is arguably one of the most mysterious plants, or fungi, or thing in the entirety of Minecraft. I mean, you're to tell me that this crop, which is one of the most useful in the entire game, can only be found in man-made settlements? Out of the millions of blocks the Nether covers, not a single instance of this thing is found naturally? There is definitely something deeper going on with the Nether Wart's lore that hasn't been discovered yet, and I aim to figure out what it is in this video. You see, I've spent the last few days researching the Minecraft Nether to see if I could find anything at all to prove that there exists a deeper story with the Nether Wart. And what I found not only provides context into the crop's origin story, including why its quantity is so limited within the Nether dimension, but also what its greater purpose is. So, in this video, we will be diving into the lore and story behind the Nether Wart, Minecraft's most mysterious item. So, let's begin. As I had stated, one of the most interesting properties of Nether Wart is that it is only found in man-made structures, more specifically fortresses and bastions. Players must venture into one of these structures in order to obtain this crop, as other than those two locations it doesn't appear anywhere else in the game. Now this obviously is extremely odd, as Nether Wart seems like something that should appear naturally all throughout the Nether, such as the various other Nether plants. This made me curious as to why this was the case, and researching it led me down a rabbit hole that I think led me to a possible explanation to this unique property. You see, it is widely believed that long before the player enters a Minecraft world, the world was populated by a society of ancient builders, and they were the ones responsible for creating many of the structures seen throughout the game. This includes the Nether fortresses, and seeing how these ancient builders had the capabilities to create blocks and items not normally craftable by the player, such as saddles, name tags, and end portal frames, it's possible they found a way to cultivate Nether Warts exclusively in their settlements. Now, this is a conclusion that I, along with many others, probably expected. I mean, as I had stated, this ancient society could create things we could only dream of, so growing Nether Warts was not out of their range of possibility. However, something very interesting about this crop in particular is that we can actually figure out how these ancient builders managed to grow it, and you'll want to stick around as it's definitely an interesting method. You see, Nether Wart actually appears in one more location besides fortresses and bastions, and that is in crimson fungus. This is a common mushroom found throughout the Nether, and when fully grown it sprouts like a tree-like structure that oddly enough has leaves made out of Nether Wart blocks. Now, something very interesting about Nether Wart blocks is that although you can craft individual Nether Warts into them, you can't uncraft the block to get the warts back. This serves primarily as a gameplay purpose, as it forces players to go to a fortress or bastion in order to find individual Nether Warts, but I feel it could also have a lore purpose. Okay, so here's my theory for the entire story of the origins of the Nether Wart. This crop isn't actually an entirely unique type of fungus, but rather it's a small part of a grown crimson fungus, kinda like a single leaf from a tree. Now, when a crimson fungus grows into a tree, its Nether Wart leaves are all compacted and combined together. They're in a state which is mostly useless. So, when the ancient civilization of builders noticed this, they managed to figure out a way to isolate individual warts in the Nether Wart block and grow them separately in their fortresses, explaining why the warts only appear in structures created by them, as well as why players can't actually convert Nether Wart blocks into their individual Nether Warts, as that is a technology we don't have despite the ancient builders having it, which is a trend common in other items in the game. Now, as you probably know, individual Nether Warts are required to brew almost every type of potion in the game, and this is likely a large reason why these ancient builders went through the trouble of cultivating individual warts from Nether Wart blocks, as that would provide them access to all sorts of beneficial status effects through potions. However, this connection between potions and Nether Wart can actually explain why the crop appears in bastions. As we have discussed, individual Nether Warts are isolated leaves of the crimson fungus tree which can only be cultivated by the ancient builders, so why do they also naturally appear in bastions? These are structures inhabited solely by Piglins, and given the build style of these structures as well as the intelligence of these mobs, it's extremely likely the Piglins themselves made the bastions, so how did they know how to also create Nether Wart, and why would they even do it? Well, a common hypothesis among Minecraft theorists, including myself, is that piglins, and by extension hoglins, are mutated and evolved pigs that the ancient builders brought to the Nether from the overworld, and these mobs gained intelligence to create their own society. This theory implies that Piglins and ancient builders came to the Nether roughly at the same time. So it's possible they could have just learned the techniques the ancient builders used to grow Nether Warts by themselves, or they managed to raid some of the fortresses and use those to create their Nether Wart farms. However, with that being said, why would the Piglins want Nether Warts? Well, it's actually likely for the same reason the ancient builders wanted them, and those are potions. Based on how Piglins can barter fire resistance potions to players who give them gold, these mobs have some experience with brewing in order to actually make those potions. Additionally, although not a feature in the base game, according to both Minecraft Legends and the Minecraft movie, raw Nether Wart will actually prevent the Piglins from zombifying in the overworld, which would be a large incentive for them to actually farm the crop, as based on how Piglins can barter items like water bottles and iron nuggets, it's implied they had to receive overworld materials through some means, so it's possible they actually traveled to the overworld with Nether Wart to gather those materials. Now, there is one thing I'd like to mention for this video, and that is the connection between Nether Wart and soul sand. As you probably know, Nether Warts can only be grown on soul sand, and I have a pretty good hypothesis for why this actually might be the case. As we have discussed, Nether Warts are comparable to the individual leaves of a tree, and once a tree leaf is plucked off, it will eventually die. So given how soul sand is believed to harbor the souls of dead beings, as well as how those souls can be converted into soul energy, which is a special type of energy source shown numerous times throughout the game in items crafted with soul sand, such as soul lanterns and soul torches, the souls, and by extension soul energy in soul sand, is likely used as a force to keep the individual Nether Warts alive and growing, as they have been detached from their main home, that being the crimson fungus tree. This really isn't too important, but I thought it would be a neat way to explain how this crop actually grows in the soul sand. Anyways, that was essentially the entire brief overview of the lore of Nether Warts, or at least my theory on the topic. To summarize, I believe that the ancient society of builders harvested Nether Warts from crimson fungus trees through a method unknown to the player by isolating individual warts from the Nether Wart block. To preserve the warts, they placed them in soul sand, which allowed the crop to retain its life after being plucked from the tree due to the soul energy in the block. The builders did this so they could use the Nether Warts to brew powerful potions, and the Piglins also used them for the same reason. Now, I know there is a lot more expanding which needs to be done on this theory, but I just wanted to get my ideas out there in this video, as I do find the origins of this crop rather interesting. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of this theory as well as what can be added onto it. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed!